Mr. Chatterji, please unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Thanks for joining.
Hello, Dr. Roy Chaudhary. Namaskar.
How are you?
Good, good. I'm doing good.
So are you in Kolkata right now?
Yes, I arrived on Tuesday night.
Okay. So anyway, I think we should start the initiative, and after that we will communicate. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. Show me, please start.
So am I able to share my screen?
We will start the initiation. Welcome address. On that basis, we will.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shormi Khan, Research Associate at the Radhanath Shikdar Institute of Geospatial Science and Technology.
Shormi, you are not audible. Oh, achha.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I am Shormi, Research Associate at the Radhanath Shikdar Institute of Geospatial Science and Technology. And it's my privilege to be your host for today's webinar, Ethical AI in Business, Aligning Innovation with Integrity. On behalf of RSIGST, I extend a warm welcome to all participants, esteemed guests, and our distinguished speakers. Today's session will bring together thought leaders and experts to explore how artificial intelligence can be innovatively integrated into business while upholding the highest standards of ethics and responsibility. To comment today's event, I would like to invite the visionary behind RSIGST, Dr. Bishwajit Roy Chaudhary, founder and chairperson of the Radhanath Shikdar Institute of Geospatial Science and Technology, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shormi. And first of all, on behalf of our organization, I heartily congratulate and welcome Mr. Subrata Chatterji for giving us consent and to join us to deliver his valuable thoughts with us on this particular issue. And it's our pleasure to share that Mr. Chatterji, that as SAIARD, as a platform of RSIGST, it's our Geospatial Center of Excellence, and also Pentile, its IT verticals there. So SAIARD Research Group, since the last 7-8 years, working on the different issues related to the climate change, sustainability, and obviously through the application of the technology integration and how it could be helpful in case of solving some real-time problems and all that. So supporting in the different state and central government organizations connected with the several national and international bodies. It's really an honor for us to welcome you in our platform and to hear on such an important issue, because you are, since a long time, you are working on that particular domain. And though you are in USA based, but also as a Bengali, we are very much proud to see that kind persons are working on that particular domain. And through that, through your support, through your guidance, hopefully our organizations, in fact, the audience, those who have joined throughout India, they could be enriched. So with this, I am very much happy to hear from your side with no longer extension of my words, and welcome to my team and congratulations also and all the audience who have joined as an institutional head. I again welcome you to be a part of that. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So let me make sure I'm able to share my screen. Give me a moment here. Since I'm going to share my screen, I'm going to turn off my camera so that you see the screen.
Yes, sure, sir.
Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm trying to look for the share screen button. Have you given me permission to share?
Sir, I think there is no required for permission. You can share your screen.
Okay. It's actually blanked out. It's saying you are not allowed to share your screen. Huh. Maybe it's my computer. Okay, let me see.
I think you could share that your presentation to us so that from here we can share it.
Okay.
You can WhatsApp me. I will share it to Shormi so that she can share.
Give me 1 second. So this is one of the Google accounts with which I've logged in, and this is saying that there's some safety settings which is blocking.
Yeah.
I'll try to do that with another Google account, and then it should work. Give me just 1 minute. I'll copy the link from your WhatsApp. Copy. And then I'll be here on Safari. Okay. And then okay, I think it's better for me to send it to Shormi, and then because my system is not allowing me to do that. So please bear with me. Let me send it across.
Okay, sir. You can share to my WhatsApp.
Do I have your WhatsApp?
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know. Maybe I should email it to you, right? Actually, I'm used to.
Sir, I have pinned you.
Okay. Okay. I sent it across.
Yes, sir. Sir, our team is sharing the presentation.
Okay. Are you able to see it, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. I'm Subrata Chatterji. I want to thank Dr. Raichaudhuri for inviting me to give this talk to you all. Before I start my talk, just a quick introduction. I'm based in the United States, as Dr. Raichaudhuri mentioned, but my link with AI has a long history, actually. Artificial intelligence is not something new. As you know, it was coined back in 1956, the term, and then a lot of technologies were developed. But it was not able to give us the solutions that we see today because machine learning was not in a deployable stage. And there were three problems that needed to be solved. Without that, the AI solutions that we talk about would not have been here today, and the discussion that we are having about ethical AI would not be relevant today. So let me just draw your attention to those three things, though they're very technical aspects, but I think we should all be aware of it. The first thing was that for any AI solution, you have to have training data, right? All AI tools are trained on data. Digital data was not available to such high volume until recently. And it took time to gather all that data and curate all that data. So as more and more information got available on the internet, then we were in a position to access that voluminous data and use it as training data. The first one was availability of training data. The second one was the algorithm was not as smart, and so therefore it was more difficult, and we had to do a lot of research to get where we are today. So that's the second one. The third one was the processing power of the GPU. You guys must have heard about NVIDIA, right? Everybody's using their chips. We did not have that before. So this amount of data being processed in milliseconds couldn't be possible until we have the right hardware. Even now, it gets so hot, these microprocessors, that we have big cooling towers. It consumes a lot of electricity. So unfortunately, that has not been resolved yet. But when these three things happened, then you saw from 2021, 2022, all these Gen AI tools got released, and then it got, accepted in different forms of solution. And then came the question of, oh gosh, what's going to happen if the solution becomes biased, not ethical, and so on. And now there are different organizations that now focus on helping companies that bring AI solutions to the market to evaluate the solutions, whether they are ethically ready for the market. So one is called RED Information. It's a combination of Human Intelligence is one company and UNESCO. They have gotten together. They have created certain organizations that are focusing on helping companies to roll out ethical AI solutions. So that's a quick history of that. And my personal history started back in '94 in San Francisco when I did a project, artificial intelligence project for a cookies company, Mrs. Fields Cookies. And what they were trying to do, basically, they were trying to optimize their cost by being able to predict the amount of dough and sugar that they need to release for their baking. This is very interesting, so I'll start the lecture with this interesting story and then continue along the path of ethics. During those times, artificial intelligence, of course, had a little different, was a little bit different. We used to call it in the 90s expert systems. It was artificial intelligence, but within that gamut, it was called expert systems. Why? Because there was no deployable machine learning. So we used to infuse human expertise into the solution. So we used to teach them, not like machine learning teaching, but teach them by infusing data. And then it could get the capability to make predictions, predictive analytics, and so on. So the human expertise was embedded into the systems. That was the definition of artificial intelligence during those times. So this particular company in San Francisco, California, Mrs. Fields Cookies, their motto was to serve freshly baked cookies. Freshly baked cookies. So as soon as the cookie is not fresh, they would not sell it. They would give it away to homeless people. So Randy Fields, the owner, started becoming worried that they're wasting a lot of cookies because they have to stop selling cookies because that's their motto. They have to sell freshly baked cookies. So then Randy was the one who started exploring artificial intelligence to be able to predict based on the footfall of different stores. They had about 13 stores, I think, in San Francisco, if I remember correctly. So they created this home-built artificial intelligence system to basically track the footfall in every store, amount of cookies being sold, and accordingly create a predictive mechanism for dough and sugar to be released to the baking team. That was my first exposure to AI back in 1994, and it was, in the form of expert systems. And today things are different. Today, of course, there's, natural language processing is there, so you can actually, give instructions directly to the machine without depending on codes. A lot of things have changed, but there's a long history of artificial intelligence. But today it has become popular because of Gen AI. So Cognitive AI Institute, my institute, our mission is to basically train people, to be AI ready. Okay, and our focus is mainly on non-technical people. So not the people who develop AI solutions, but the people who are going to use AI solutions in decision making and so on. So we have collaborations with different entities. So we have collaboration with ISI, Indian Statistical Institute. So we did corporate training for HR managers, finance managers to make them AI ready. How do they utilize AI in their decision-making process and so on. We have collaboration. We just signed collaboration in April with Indian Institute of Management, IIM Mumbai. Right now, as we speak, even today I had a class with Presidency. So we are teaching AI to Presidency students. And then with IIS WBM, it's going to roll out in August and so on. So we are teaching AI to MBAs, to managers, to researchers, those kind of. So that's in a nutshell what we do in Cognitive AI Institute. Shormi, if you can go to the next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, next, please. So given that we don't have as much time, I think I'm going to run through some of these quickly, but this was the plan. You can see on your screen how I want to cover right from the concept of what is ethical AI, and then go on to deeper discussions on the influence of ethical AI on businesses and product development and so on. Next slide, please. So we have been talking about ethical AI for some time, but now it is not an option, but essential to have ethical AI teams within your organization if you're developing an AI solution, or even if you're adopting an AI solution, because you get into legal trouble. If some discrimination happens, then there could be legal trouble. Let me give you some examples then that would bring this to perspective. Last year, when a version of Gemini was released by Google, there was a particular case where they were showing various like multiracial presence. You must have read it in the newspaper. It was big news. And their LLM was made oversensitive to minorities. So when the final report came, the LLM produced a report where they only showed the minorities, and the white Caucasian majority of US were totally disregarded. So then they realized that there could be, ethical AI could be a dual-edged sword. So you have to have the balance, right? The whole purpose is to have balance, no discrimination, fair data, and so on. So that was just an example to tell you how important it is now for bigger companies like Google and smaller companies to make sure that the entire data is well under scrutiny and human oversight. So if you look at where AI is getting used these days, not just in countries like United States, but even in India, because when I was doing the workshop with ISI for managers, many of them were inquiring about how to process resumes in high volume using AI, how to make their decision-making process smart by using AI. So all these departments, HR, finance, everybody is looking into how to deploy AI into their organization, into their business processes. So now it becomes more important to make people aware of the ethical aspects of AI. So let's say during the hiring process, if the AI data that was used to train the LLM was not ensured to be unbiased, then it could be a big problem, because it could basically not include certain types of people. So that's a bias right there. So that's unethical, right? So those are the kind of things. So when you're using a resume scanning system, you have to make sure that it is trained with ethical data. So this is why I think, because it could lead to legal liabilities and so on and so forth. Now some people may say that we become too cautious, then it may come in the way of innovation. It could slow down innovation. Actually, that's not true, because if you factor it in right from the design stage, then you are better off to avoid rework later on. So it could help you to prevent unintended harm. When let me switch off my WhatsApp. I'm seeing a lot of pings. Excuse me for that. Yeah. So there's a very famous saying, as we all know, right? With great power comes great responsibility, especially when machines are making decisions. So with great power comes great responsibility is a very famous saying. But now if you add, especially when machines are making decisions, you can understand and hold it in perspective, right? If you do not have human oversight and you let the machine do all the selection, make the decisions, you may end up in a position where it may have taken a wrong turn and you didn't notice, right? And there could be legal liabilities and could be too late to, fix it. So this is why it is no longer optional. Can we go to the next slide, please? Right. So, a lot of people used to think that anything to do with AI must be something to do with the technical department, right? A lot of people would say it's something that they should worry about, but that's not the case actually. And that is why Cognitive AI Institute actually focuses on the non-techies, because they're the ones in larger volumes. They're the ones who will be actually using AI to make their decisions. So AI is no longer a tech department issue. It is actually touching every part of the organization. So businesses are using AI for marketing, right? Digital marketing, finance, logistics, like supply chain management, of course, customer service, a lot of customer service, human-driven customer service, has been replaced with agentic AI that can take care of that. Same with sales agent, actually, right? Scientists are using AI, something that I'm sure Dr. Roy Chaudhary will be familiar with. AI for geospatial analysis, climate modeling, drug discovery, and so on. Public agencies use AI for different type of predictions related to health. A lot of research that goes behind making a policy decision. AI could be used, and there are various ways of making right decision using AI tools. So it is being used by college students, by professional, by management, almost everyone. But the dangerous aspect of that is many people, and I'm telling you from direct experience, I've talked to professors, I've talked to students, I've talked to professionals, many of them have started equating ChatGPT with AI readiness. But that's not the case. ChatGPT is just a tool. And so the foundation of AI, how it works and how it impacts your work, how is it different than the human mind? These are aspects that are becoming more and more foundational for people. Can we go to the next slide, please? I think we covered this. Next one, please. So then one of the things that AI tools, it's not as much now, but it's going to happen more and more with all these different incidents taking place that we are reading in newspaper. There was a big incident in the United States. I think a bank loan was denied to someone who was otherwise qualified, and it was perceived to be some kind of racial discrimination, right? So the LLM system was not trained well enough to detect that that's not the right decision. So trust is going to be increasingly more important, and therefore trust is the new currency in the AI tools, because nobody wants to get into all those troubles. So they will be extra cautious to deploy the right AI tool in their business. Any ethical lapse could cost the companies a lot of issue. They won't be compliant, and there will be, legal liabilities, and that's a huge cost. Now, from day-to-day stuff, now generative AI is generating a lot of information that you can use in our day-to-day lives. But at the same time, what if society becomes over-dependent on generative AI? This is one big thing. Today, in fact, this morning when I was teaching the presidency students, one aspect that I told them was that make AI your tool, not your crutch. As soon as you start depending on AI to get your things done, as if it's your crutch, then you're getting into trouble. You cannot outsource your critical thinking. You can outsource some of your work to AI for higher efficiency. So along those lines, I think more and more some people may not be willing to do that, and they will become more and more dependent on AI tools, will become more mechanical, and then they are the ones who probably will be, unknowingly do a lot of wrong things, or they may copy, like it's kind of fraud, right? So they're going to copy some information and submit it, and that's also another aspect of ethical usage of AI. So there are a lot of things that we are going to face over and over. That itself is actually a big topic that cannot be discussed in this, but that's something to think about. Where should we stop? Where should we stop in terms of handing AI tools to students? Should we stop them, or should we have them use it, but in an educated way? How can we ensure that they continue to use their critical thinking while using an AI tool? These are all very important aspects of the thought process. So one case on hand is basically, Compass. I don't know if you've heard about this. Compass is actually a system in the United States used by the judicial system, actually. They try to predict the possibility, the probability of repeat offenders. So if somebody has offended, has been, arrested, there's a system, AI-driven system, that tries to predict if that same person will commit the crime again, like repeat offender. And a lot of people didn't know how it was working. People were very happy with it. But then when the predictive algorithms were analyzed, they found there was racial bias in it. So that's one example of huge ethical issue. So those are kind of things that we have to be very careful about. So trust is the new currency. All these huge smart systems, we'll have to be extra careful to ensure that the continuous training of those tools with data always goes through the ethical filter. So leaders, researchers, policymakers, everyone would have to understand the value that we are coding into these systems to ensure that the output is ethical. Can you go to the next one, please? Right. So, we are talking about ethical AI a lot, but what exactly is ethical AI, right? So I think one way to look at it is by examples, So being fair, we know that is ethical, right? So when a let's say LLM that is being used by a bank is making a selection as to who will get the loan, it has to be fair. Accountability. What if there's no accountability because there's a machine being used? If it's a human, then it's easy to say, okay, John did it, Mary did it. So you can talk to Mary and say, hey, this is not right. You may have missed some steps. But what happens when a machine is doing it for you? So where is the accountability, right? So we have to start thinking along those lines that there has to be some human oversight. And if the machine is doing something wrong, the human in charge of the machine will have to ensure that it doesn't happen, right? There has to be transparency. If you are using a lot of data from people, people must know. It should be transparent to people that you are using a lot of data to make a decision about that person. It could be a loan application. It could be a registration for admission to a college. It could be a lot of different things, but it needs to be transparent. As soon as you are processing the data through a machine, they need to understand that. In business, as we talked about, it will relate to privacy, human dignity. Let's say you have collected a lot of data for your research. You have to make sure that it does not go into the public domain, right? Using a lot of data, you're feeding all that data into these huge LLMs to get your research work done. But what if private health data and so on gets out in the public domain? So there has to be total accountability for that as well. So privacy is extremely important. Explainability. Sometimes AI would make a decision and you would wonder whether that's right or wrong, right? If you look at ChatGPT, for example, if you have a conversation with ChatGPT, if you explain the reason behind some recommendation, it will be able to do that. It will show you point by point why a certain decision was being made or why a certain recommendation was made to you. That's extremely important. So all these LLMs have to be always trained to be able to explain a particular decision, a recommendation, and so on. So these are the basics of, when we talk about ethical AI, this is what we are talking about. So it's not just about compliance. I know there's a legal liability involved, and as soon as we use words like making sure and all those, it sounds like compliance, right? But it goes beyond compliance. It's also about building trust among the users. If you are deploying your tool, your solution in the market, for any market, let's say the financial sector, right? You have built a LLM to be used by banks. If banks are depending on it, they need to be able to trust that solution, trust that product, right? They're not just trying to comply with the laws, which of course is very in its infancy in India. AI regulations are not quite ready in India, but trust has always been there, right? If something bad happens, then people will lose trust on the bank that is using those LLMs. So it's always something to worry about. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, we covered that. Just another way of saying it. Oh, did we miss something? I'm still not. Can you go up, please? I want to. Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. We can go. How much time do you have? 4:37. Okay. Keep going, please. Right. Yeah, this is the one I was looking for. The 5 pillars. So I think what we just discussed in the previous slide, if we have to wrap up, you can remember them, all the things that we're talking about, all the possibilities, banks, admission, racial discriminations, all of the things that we talked about. You can remember them in terms of 5 pillars of ethical AI. The first one is fairness. Are we ensuring that the AI systems do not discriminate? The examples that I gave you, whether it's hiring, whether it's a hiring tool for HR department, whether it's scientific models, bias in the training data. Because remember, the LLMs are functioning based on the training data, right? So any bias in the training data can lead to biased outcomes. So someone in the organization will have to be responsible for that. And that is why we talked about accountability. Someone has to ensure that the systems are being fed with unbiased data. That brings us to the next point. The next pillar of the fairness is accountability. Can we identify who is responsible when an AI system makes a bad call? Right? Because, or else you'll be in a situation where it'll say, well, I don't know, it's the machine. But if you create an organization where you have clearly identified that these are the people who will be responsible for human oversight over the system, then you know who to talk to. So you will be able to identify who's responsible when an AI system makes a bad call. I mean, we cannot blame the algorithm. Someone, a person or a team or an institution must be accountable for the outcomes. The next one, the next pillar of ethical AI is transparency, right? Everything has to be well understood. It can't be hidden. Are we clear about how the system works? When we say we, it's two-sided. So example, person who is the builder of the tool as well as the user of the tool. And explainability, as I mentioned to you, why are we doing what we are doing? You know, are we able to explain that, whether especially in terms of healthcare and education and so on? It's 4:40, right? Maybe we can stop at 4:50 and then open up for questions maybe. Can we go to the next slide, please? Right. So I think, you know, we have talked about this. Basically, this is a summation of what I've talked to you about. If you think in terms of business, ethical AI will help in building customer loyalty. if you look at from both sides, so if I'm selling a AI-based solution, then I'm going to build good customer loyalty if I can assure people that it has been trained with ethical data and it's it has gone through the test of being ethical. My customers, let's say I'm selling it to banks, they will gain customer loyalty when they tell their customers that we are using AI-driven system which has proven to be ready for ethical AI or sensitive to ethical AI. In science, it protects research credibility and reproducibility. How can you ensure that you are able to produce high quality research work without crossing any boundaries, ethical boundaries? In education, there could be misuse, and everybody needs to be trained on how to responsibly use AI tools. In public service, we talked about some of them: ensure fairness in policies, no racial discrimination, no religious discrimination, and so on and so forth. We can move to the next one. So when we say AI went wrong, what exactly are we talking about? Is it always that somebody has purposefully planted biased data? That's not true. That is only one. So if I am responsible for training a LLM system, and if I have some subjective approach, then yes, that may impact. But there are tools to make sure that doesn't happen. But then there could be other places. For example, let's take an example to understand. Banks. So LLM for processing loan application needs certain data to be trained, right? What if the training data was incomplete? So the LLM for the bank probably does not even know about a particular tribe, a particular community or something like that. And then when it comes across that community, it thinks it should not be considered. So in this case, it was not because of biased data being fed into the system, it's because there was incomplete data, right? Or sometimes if you're training a system with so much data, in that data, there could be some historical data which was not corrected. And so that incorrect data gets into the system and the LLM gets accidentally, I would say, biased. So that's one. The second one, I think it can happen even without machines, right? Forget about the machine. Let's say I work in a company and I have to get something done quickly. For example, I have to select a person because there's a project and I need to select someone quickly. And in order to get that done, I may have like 50 applications, and there could be very good applicants. Just to save my skin, I may just not go through the 10. And if I find that that's going to work for the job that I have, I may say, hey, I found mine. But that's not fair because I didn't go through all of the applicants, and others who had applied did not get the opportunity to be considered, right? So that is a human situation. Well, that could happen to a machine too. I mean, instead of, in order to optimize some workflow using a machine, we could end up doing the same thing. Instead of being more transparent and fairness, we are trying to go for speed and more optimized, and we can leave out certain things that could have made us more fair and transparent. It's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. Training is not easy. There's so many little things that can go wrong. So real world complexity is always a huge problem in training data sets. So what we have to bear in mind is that without human oversight, automation can be a huge problem, and it can grow in proportion. That's what I mean when I say can scale harm. Can we go to the next one, please? The hidden risk of automation. Remember what I talked about accountability? So that's what we can relate to when we're looking at the first point, who gets recourse if an AI system makes a mistake. So we know that these things could happen, but do we have a plan for recourse? Do we have a plan, first of all, human oversight? Then do we have a plan for detection? And there are systems that detects. And then do we have a plan for recourse? And who's responsible? Many AI systems lack transparency, that like we were talking about. Let's say, I'll give you an example. This is not a serious one, but let me give you an example. When you use Netflix, Netflix is able to provide you with the kind of movies that you typically see. And there's an AI tool working behind the scenes, looking for pattern of use, what you typically watch, what you tend to like, and so on and so forth, right? But it's harmless because it's just movie selection. But think about it. Are we used to seeing how it works? I mean, we have kind of understood. But what if you think of a system in the health world, then there's a problem. I need to understand how the system is working, right? But you will hardly find people actually explaining to you how the system works, how your data is, especially in countries where these things are not as important. In the Western world, it is by law that they have to explain everything to you before they even use the system. There are lots of forms. I've understood how the system works. You have to sign off and then they use it, lots of things. But in many countries, that's not the case. It's not explained, it's not transparent, and so on. That will, I think, come in as we start using AI tools more and more. Can we go to the next one, please? Okay, now I have just a few images to show you. We have 2 minutes before we break into the question answer session. So we know why responsible AI or responsibility AI matters, because AI is a powerful tool. You have to take it seriously. There's a real risks to people, right from deep fake to fraudulent activities to unethical use of data. It could go in many ways. The stakes are high for businesses. If something goes wrong, then there will be legal ramifications. The stock price will go down. The business valuation will go down. That's big, right? So ethical responsibility, more and more down the road, you may even see that people are having ethical AI officer, just like they have compliance officer for other aspects. They may end up having that. Next, please. Different types of bias, historical bias, right? If I have some stigma about something that happened in the past, for example, partition or something, and then I may have a bias, and then that may flow into the data if I'm the one who's responsible into the system. Sampling bias, your sample is too small and it's not covering everything. So there could be bias. Some people could be excluded. Label bias. So there we use labels, right? This, that, we call it different names and so on. And that could lead to bias. Automation bias, which is more like optimization. You're running after optimization, going after speed, and you may ignore some of the flaws. Next, please. So AI ethics in business, we have covered that. You'll have a copy of this, so you can go through this. Can you go to a slide where I'm talking about the next one, about India? The next one, please. Yeah, this is the one. Can you stop here, please? So ethical AI is a new concept in India. Not much has been done. I think just like how the constitution was built, as you know, a lot of different constitutions were studied before developing the Indian constitution. I think that's the stage we are in right now. In India, people are reading other aspects of privacy laws, the AI safety rule that was announced in the United States, in Europe, and then the privacy laws which are in vogue for a long time, like GDPR in Europe. Those are the ones that METI and others are studying, and you'll see some articles being published, and that will give you some idea of the direction they're headed, but there's no clear law right now. And so it is up to us, the users and producers of AI tools, to make sure that we train, build, and deploy our tools in the ethical ways that we are talking about. So maybe we can stop here and have discussions, question answer session. So we can stop sharing. And if you would like to switch on your camera for the conversation, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterji, for your profound and thought-provoking keynote. Your insight have not only enlightened us, but also challenged us to think deeper about the role of ethics in AI-driven innovation. So we will now move on to the question answer session. If you have any questions for Mr. Chatterji, please feel free to type them in the chat box or raise your hand. We'll take your queries one by one.
Well, I can see a very familiar face. Ethical AI is a big chapter. Just for example, to the presidency students, I'm teaching an entire week on ethical AI. So you can understand it is a very deep subject. So it's not possible to do justice to the subject. I just gave you a flavor. There are many aspects of ethical AI that one should go into. Oh, here's a question. Oh, there are quite a few actually. Let me open the comment boxes. I think that's where I'm going to get it, right? Or will someone read it to me? Where did they go? There they are. Okay, quite a few questions. If anyone of, oh, no. Okay, great. Comments. Onkit Shengupto. Do you think we have reached a point in technology where integration of social sciences play an integral role in carrying out data sets for achieving best outputs? It's going to vary, Ankit, industry by industry and country by country. I don't know if you read that article that was published by the head of AI at IBM. And they said, he said basically that I'm going to start asking people to study English literature if they have to, enter AI. That was English literature was just used as an example. Sociology, philosophy, and so on. I think those are the aspects, Ankit, that AI will require human oversight in. It's not calculation. There are a lot of sensitivities that AI tools may not be able to understand, social sensitivities. So a lot of social science data will play a big role when we start training these tools. Not all across the board, but especially in any kind of selection process, when you're selecting a person so that there is no bias, there's more sensitivity to things that people may not be aware of. So yes, you're right, more and more we are going to see that. Joydeep Paul, what are the best practices to do as a student in the case of using AI, and how can we take control of AI instead of depending on AI? Very good question, but a very profound question. So I don't know if I can answer that in 2 minutes, but let me try. The most important aspect is to ensure that you do not outsource your thinking to the machine. The machine is there to produce what you have already thought. So the most important thing is to ensure that your critical thinking ability does not get weakened. So if you get to write a report on something, do not ask ChatGPT to write it for you. You frame it, you ask the questions to yourself. What is the problem? You define the problem, you define the issue, and then you can take AI help to probably generate a better report. But if you simply feed it into ChatGPT, yes, it will write a report, but it will not be good. Because the other aspect you have to think about, I'm digressing a little bit, but it's relevant. I'm sure you are aware, Jaideep, about prompt engineering, right? And what are the aspects of prompt engineering? Today I had a class, actually. That's what I taught presidency today. Prompt engineering. Now, why prompting has become engineering? Prompting, engineering, why? Because it's a structured way of interaction. But it is no different than how a human interacts with human. If I interact with him, and if I say, I'm going to New Delhi, it was not contextual. When am I going? Why am I going? How am I going? So what would you understand from that? Not much, right? If you give that kind of input to an AI tool, that's the problem. So you have to be able to be contextual, clarity, contextual, and then iterative, meaning don't just give one thing and then wait for the answer. You have to engage with the AI tool to take it from point A to point B. This point B, you should know, so that you are still deploying your critical thinking ability continuously. So the best practice, which is your question, is to ensure that you start thinking before starting to use the AI tool. Thinking capability, critical thinking capability should never be outsourced. And like I told the students this morning, use AI as a tool, not as a crutch. Next one is Shanchoita Mondol. How can small or medium-sized businesses, sorry, a lot of questions coming in, I lost that one. How can small or medium-sized businesses ensure AI ethics without having a large budget or dedicated AI ethics teams? Good question. So I guess you're talking about using, right? You're not talking about developing a tool. So in terms of usage, if you're a small company, you do not have to have a dedicated person. The best person to be given that responsibility will be someone from human resource or finance. Finance, because they are typically looking after anyway legal compliances. Human resources, because they're sensitive to human issues. And they need to be trained in AI, just like I mentioned to you a little while ago. We did the training with ISI 2 weeks ago, and we trained HR managers, vice presidents, managers from finance, HR, from companies like TCG, Life Sciences, Nomura Research, and all that. That's exactly the point. You can have your existing team members be aware of the ethical needs. So it can be done with a small budget, and create awareness all through the organization so that they're all aware of it, so that you don't have to spend time in correcting. You can spend, it will be preventative. That's important. Shouhardhya Roy. Who should be held accountable when an AI system causes harm? The developer, the company, or the end user? Oh, you're asking a very philosophical question. It depends on the use case. So if you are buying a LLM from me, which is an empty shell, and you are hiring me to train the LLM with your data, then I, the tool developer, I'm not responsible, because I wrote the algorithm, but you used your own data to train it. So I would say, but if you are using ChatGPT, then OpenAI is indeed responsible. If you're using Claude, then Anthropic is indeed responsible. If you're using Gemini, then yes, Google is indeed responsible, because they use their, the training was their responsibility. So it depends on the use cases. Dr. Roy Chaudhary, to get the certificate, kindly fill it. Okay. So that's the
I have a
last.
question.
Yes, show me.
Sir, in a world where AI decisions increasingly impact real lives, from hiring to healthcare, how can businesses strike the right balance between innovation and ethical responsibility without slowing down progress?
Right. So, I'll give you a practical experience. I come from the semiconductor world, and we used to have customer service people sit in our design meetings. The reason being, we wanted to make sure the end product would be serviceable easily. In the same way, when our AI tool is a very innovative AI tool, a new technology is being developed, right from day one, the ethical aspects need to be included so that it does not become an afterthought, because then it's more expensive. Ethical AI does not come in the way of innovation. It actually ensures that the innovative product does not get stalled in the middle of release or use because of ethical issues. So the sooner you start the ethical screening, the better it is.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterjee, for your profound and thought-provoking keynote. So, to all participants, a feedback form link has been shared in the chat box. We encourage you to take a moment to fill it out. Your inputs are highly valuable and help us improve future events. So, as we draw this enlightening session to a close, I would like to extend heartfelt thanks to our keynote speaker, Mr. Subrata Chatterjee, for sharing his expertise, to Dr. Bishwajit Roy Chaudhary for his guidance and support, and to each one of you for your active participation. This webinar was a step toward fostering ethical awareness in the age of intelligent systems, and together we can continue building a future where innovation thrives hand in hand with integrity. Thank you once again. Stay safe, stay inspired, and keep innovating responsibly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, sir.